What's up guys, Daniel here, and today I'll be comparing the Oppo R15 Pro and the Huawei P20 Pro. Now what you're seeing and hearing right now is off of these two cameras. Both of them is shooting at 1080p right now. The Oppo R15 has a 20 megapixel camera while the Huawei has a 24 megapixel camera. So right now we're in a low light situation. I'm in my room. The only thing lighting me right now is my light above me. So just to let you guys see the quality difference between daylight and low light with the front facing camera. Now I've also done a camera overview with the Oppo R15 Pro, so you guys can check that out. But without further ado, let's go check out the quality of these two cameras. Starting off with the Huawei, we know that we've got a 40, 20, and an 8 megapixel camera on the back of the phone. Now on the Oppo, we got a 20 and a 16 megapixel camera. On the Huawei, it does a lot better job rendering the shadows. The green on the bike seems to be closer to what it looks like in real life, whereas in the Oppo, it looks washed out. The Huawei has an AI feature, where when you point at something, it will switch to that best setting to shoot at. Whereas the Oppo doesn't have any AI feature, it's just strictly point and shoot. Now the Huawei has the blue sky filter on, where it makes the whole picture more vibrant. As you can see in the Huawei, the yellow on the trees, on the leaves, they pop out. Whereas in Oppo, it looks dull and boring. Moving on to portrait mode, the Oppo has some unique features. Not only you can take it as a regular portrait picture, but you have this mode where you change the aspect ratio so it looks like you're taking a still from a movie. Portrait mode on the Huawei seems to be brighter and vibrant. Taking a look at both of these pictures, the tree seems to be overexposed on the Huawei side, but it looks more vibrant and he does pop out more. On the Oppo, it is darker, and on the face, it's just shade. You can't really see much texture, where the Huawei, you can see a lot more. Moving on to the front-facing camera for portrait mode, the Oppo does decently well overall, but the Huawei just does it much better. Pointing out the first flaw on the Oppo, the bricks on the building next to my ear sticks out too much. The background blur is much more creamy and looks much better on the Huawei, and also the coloring is much better as well. My shirt is actually gray, whereas the Oppo looks slightly blue. Moving on to low light, both of these phones does pretty well with a lot of street lights going on. On the Huawei, the color does shift a little bit more to the green side, but the detail is much more sharper and you can see a lot more things going on the Huawei. Moving on to extreme low light, on the Oppo you can't really see anything, whereas in the Huawei you can see something, but both of these pictures doesn't look too good. Both of these pictures come out really noisy and the sharpness goes down by a lot. The Huawei has night mode, which takes really clean pictures, but it takes 4 seconds to shoot and you have to be pretty still. Moving on to the UI and design of the camera stock app, they both look really similar. You swipe to get to different camera modes, and on top that's where you can find your settings. Now for settings, the Oppo doesn't offer you too much, really simple, basic, maybe 1 or 2 for each mode, whereas the Huawei, it offers you a lot more settings. My favorite feature on the Oppo is the portrait mode. Earlier we talked about how it makes it look more cinematic, but when you're taking a normal portrait picture, it does offer you a wider angle as well. My favorite features on the Huawei is the aperture mode and night mode, where when you use it at the right places at the right time, they look really good. For video, they both shoot up to 4K. Now looking at these two clips, the Oppo seems to do a better job exposing the whole image. The green trees and the red shirt pops out more, and the jeans you can still see it's slightly blue, whereas the Huawei it just seems black. Now looking at the clips, the Oppo doesn't have a consistent white balance. Sometimes it's more on the blue side, more on the warmer side, sometimes it's more yellow, so the coloring on the Oppo is always different. Like I mentioned earlier, they both shoot 4K, but in 4K they don't have any stabilization. Now the Oppo doesn't have any at all, whether it's 1080p, 720p, it just doesn't offer any stabilization at all. Whereas the Huawei, it does offer stabilization when it's shot in 1080p. Moving on to low light, they both expose the video pretty well. But once you zoom in, you can tell that the Oppo shows a lot of noise, whereas in the Huawei, it looks so much cleaner. Another thing to point out is on the Oppo, the shutter speed seems to be pretty low compared to the shutter speed on the Huawei. You can see a lot of motion blur when things are moving. Even twisting my hand, it's so much more clear on the Huawei versus the one on the Oppo. So for me, the Huawei wins at low light. So overall, the Huawei does win in my book, but to keep you in mind that the Oppo is a mid-tier phone, while the Huawei is a flagship phone. Well, that was my comparison. I hope you guys found that helpful. If you guys want to know anything else, anything specific, let me know so I can add it onto these comparisons. If you want to check these phones out, I have links for you down below. One more thing to mention is that this whole video was shot with just these two phones. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.